What do Batman in an asylum, Dracula in a modern city, and Big Daddy in an underwater hell have in common? They're all the best single-player games that are now over 10 years old. We'll compare the fast adrenaline of BF3 with the grim walk-through Metro, and also tell you about the hidden gem BioShock 2. If you've missed even one of these, you're not a gamer. Battlefield 3 is that very game many underestimate simply because it's short. 3.5 hours, one evening, and you're already in the credits. But you know what? Sometimes a short story hits harder than a 40-hour epic full of filler. The plot here is simple as a Kalashnikov rifle, but no less effective. You're an experienced soldier who somehow ends up captured. And there you sit during interrogation, with two agents in front of you who need to understand how everything went so wrong. Then the most interesting part begins. Your hero starts telling his story, and you live through it. Moreover, you'll play not only as the main character, but also as other members of his squad. This adds variety and lets you see events from different angles. The gameplay here is pure action without unnecessary complications. You run, shoot, hide, shoot again. But Battlefield 3 manages to remain incredibly spectacular even in such simplicity. Explosions, destruction, weapon sounds, everything's at the highest level even by today's standards. And the game is already 13 years old. The graphics still look quite decent, and this shows how quality DICE approach development. But there's one moment I simply must highlight separately: the fighter jet mission. God, when I first played it as a kid, I almost fell off my chair from excitement. Yes, you don't control the fighter directly, you sit as the weapons operator. But what emotions! Speed, altitude, enemies around, missiles flying in all directions, pure adrenaline that doesn't let go until the very end of the mission. What's also important, the game doesn't burden you with philosophy or complex moral dilemmas. It's just a quality military action film you can complete in one sitting and get maximum enjoyment. Perfect for those evenings when you just want to relax and shoot without overthinking. And considering that Battlefield 3 often sells for pennies during sales, it would be a sin not to add it to your library. Now this is a completely different conversation. If Battlefield 3 is a quick sprint, then Metro Last Light is a full marathon through a grim, atmospheric post-apocalypse that will pull you in for dozens of hours. It's a direct sequel to Metro 2033, and if you played the first part, you know how it all ended. Artyom destroyed the nest of the Dark Ones, unique mutants with telepathic abilities. It would seem the threat is eliminated. You can breathe easy, but no. As it turns out, at the beginning of Last Light, not all Dark Ones died. One little one remained, and you find it at the very beginning of the game. And the entire plot revolves around this creature. What to do with it, whether you can trust it, whether it's a threat, or the last hope for peace between humans and mutants. If the first Metro kept you in tight, claustrophobic metro tunnels most of the time, Last Light finally gives you the opportunity to go to the surface and explore destroyed Moscow. And you know what? The city here is implemented simply divinely. Each surface location is a separate work of art. Destroyed buildings, snow-covered streets, grim sky through which light barely breaks. I literally stopped every 5 minutes to take another screenshot. The atmosphere in this game is a separate art form altogether. The developers from 4A Games managed to create a world that simultaneously scares and fascinates. You constantly feel tension, whether it's a skirmish with bandits in the metro, running through infected tunnels, or meeting another creepy mutant on the surface. The gameplay here offers choice. You can play stealth, quietly eliminating enemies and saving bullets, which are always scarce, or go all in, shooting everyone in sight. Both approaches work, but stealth feels more organic, especially considering the post-apocalyptic setting where every bullet is worth its weight in gold. The story in Last Light is much more personal than in the first part. Here, more attention is paid to characters, their motivations and relationships. You'll see different Metro factions, each with their own goals and ideology. There are the communists of the Red Line, the fascists of the Reich, the neutral Palace Station, bandits, cultists. Each group believes only their path is the right one. And at the center of all this chaos, you, trying to figure out who's right and who's wrong. The graphics, even after 10 years, hold up at a decent level. Yes, it no longer looks like the latest cutting edge, but the atmosphere compensates for any technical shortcomings. And Metro Last Light has one of the best sound designs in gaming history. Every rustle, every sound of dripping water, a distant mutant roar, all this creates incredible immersion. If you played Metro 2033 and it clicked for you, then skipping Last Light is a crime. And if you haven't played the first part, then play it first, because the story here is sequential, and much of the second part's plot relies on the events of the first. Batman: Arkham Asylum. Now we move on to a true legend. Batman: Arkham Asylum is a game that in 2009 revolutionized ideas about what superhero games could be. Before it, everyone was used to games based on comics and films being at best a passing product for a couple evenings. But Rocksteady Studios showed everyone how it should be done. The competition in 2009 was fierce. Assassin's Creed 2, Uncharted 2, Dragon Age Origins, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 were coming out. These weren't some weaklings, these were industry heavyweights. And Arkham Asylum managed not just to compete with them, but to take the Game of the Year award from many publications. That says a lot. The plot at first glance is banal. Batman brings Joker to Arkham Asylum on the island of the same name. But something goes wrong. Joker escapes, stages a riot, takes the entire island under his control, and frees all the psychos they were holding there. And there are plenty of them there, believe me. And you have one night to deal with this chaos and return everything to its place. The game offers a perfect balance between action, stealth, and detective elements. You don't just run around and beat everyone up, you use Batman's gadgets, analyze the environment, plan attacks. The combat system here deserves separate mention. It's so well done that it later migrated to a bunch of other games. Simple, but incredibly effective. Every blow feels real. Every dodge looks cool. You really feel like Batman. The bosses in the game are a separate story. Each is memorable. Each requires its own approach. Scarecrow with his toxins gives you a real psychedelic trip. The levels with him are generally a masterpiece of game design. Bane, pumped with venom, turns into a real killing machine. Poison Ivy tries to capture the island with her plants. Harley Quinn throws surprises at every turn. And of course, Joker, the king of all this madness, who constantly mocks you through loudspeakers. The atmosphere in Arkham Asylum is a separate art form altogether. A grim asylum where danger can lurk around every corner. The developers managed to create a sense of constant tension, but don't overdo it. The game doesn't turn into horror, it's still an action game about Batman. Arkham Island itself is an interesting location to explore. It's not huge, but densely packed with secrets. Riddler's puzzles are scattered everywhere, forcing you to use your brain and explore every nook. This adds replayability to the game and gives reason to return after completing the main story. If you're still not familiar with the Arkham series, you need to start with Asylum. This is the foundation. This is the base on which all subsequent games in the series were built. And even after 15 years, it hasn't lost its relevance. The graphics have aged, of course, but the gameplay and atmosphere are still top-notch. Uncharted, the Nathan Drake Collection. When Sony released exclusives for PlayStation 3, they weren't joking. Uncharted became one of the console's main franchises, and for good reason. This was a game series that showed video games could be no worse than Hollywood blockbusters. And when PS4 came out, Naughty Dog decided not to leave these masterpieces on the old console and released a remaster of the entire trilogy. The Nathan Drake collection is 3 games in one package, each brought up to modern standards. Full HD resolution, stable 60 frames per second, improved graphics. This isn't just porting, it's a full remaster that lets you appreciate the games in a new light. Nathan Drake is a modern Indiana Jones, a charismatic adventurer who constantly gets into trouble but always finds a way out. In each game of the trilogy, he goes in search of another ancient artifact, and each time this adventure is cooler than the previous one. The first part, Drake's Fortune, introduced us to Nathan and his partner Sully. They're searching for the legendary gold of El Dorado, and this becomes the beginning of an incredible journey. The game is a bit raw compared to subsequent parts, but it's still captivating. The second part, Among Thieves, this is generally a masterpiece. Personally, for me, this is one of the best games in the series, on par with the fourth part. The variety of locations here is just off the charts. You start in a museum in Istanbul, then end up in Nepal, then travel through the Himalayas, explore the ancient city of Shambhala. Each location is unique, memorable. The plot here is twisted so that it's impossible to tear yourself away. Epic scenes, memorable characters, unexpected twists, everything's at the highest level. The third part, Drake's Deception, ends the trilogy on a worthy note. Here, more attention is paid to relationships between characters. Nathan and Sully's past is revealed. The action unfolds in the deserts of the Arabian Peninsula, and this is a completely different atmosphere compared to previous games. The gameplay in all 3 games is built on a combination of shootouts, parkour, and puzzle solving. Nathan climbs rocks, jumps between buildings, shoots at enemies, and solves ancient riddles. This isn't a hardcore simulator, it's an adventure action film where the main thing is spectacle and drive. What's important, each game doesn't take dozens of hours. These are compact stories you can complete over a weekend. But they're remembered for a long time thanks to charismatic characters, epic scenes, and the atmosphere of real adventure. If you love adventure films like Indiana Jones or Pirates of the Caribbean, then Uncharted will definitely click for you. This is interactive cinema at its best manifestation. And yes, it's better to play the Nathan Drake collection specifically because the originals on PS3 are already quite outdated graphically. Gears of War. If Sony had its exclusives for PlayStation, Microsoft wasn't gonna stand aside. And in 2006, they shot big by releasing Gears of War for Xbox 360. This was a game that showed Microsoft's console was a serious platform for adult players. I played through the entire Gears series, including spin-offs, and can confidently say the first part remains one of the darkest and most oppressive in the series. The color correction here is specific, everything in gray-brown tones, which creates a sense of hopelessness. The music is heavy, pressing. Enemies are cruel and merciless. This isn't a fun shooter, it's a fight for survival. Events unfold on the planet Sarah, where humanity is waging war with the Locusts, a race of underground mutants who suddenly crawled to the surface and began destroying everything alive. The war has been going for 10 years. Humanity is on the verge of extinction. You play as Marcus Fenwick, an experienced soldier who's released from prison so he can help in the fight against the Locusts. The main feature of Gears of War is the cover system. You press against walls, boxes, building debris, and shoot enemies from behind them. Now this seems ordinary, a bunch of games use such mechanics, but in 2006, this was new and fresh, and implemented so coolly that it became a standard for other games. Don't think the first Gears is an easy walk. even on low difficulty, the game will make you sweat. Enemies here are smart. They won't stand in place waiting for you to shoot them. They flank, throw grenades, conduct crossfire. If you think you can sit in one cover and calmly shoot, you'll quickly be knocked out of there or simply destroyed. Every fight is a tactical task. You need to properly use cover, move, not let enemies surround you. This makes the game tense and captivating. Adrenaline goes off the charts, especially in moments when bullets run out and there are more and more enemies. The graphics in Gears of War were top-notch, even for 2006. Unreal Engine 3 showed itself in all its glory. Detailed models, quality physics, destructible environment. Yes, now the game looks dated, but the atmosphere compensates for any technical shortcomings. The weapons in the game are diverse and meaty. Here you have the classic Lancer assault rifle with a chainsaw. Yes, you can literally saw enemies in half with it. And a shotgun, and a sniper rifle, and heavy weapons like the Hammer of Dawn that destroys everything in the blast radius. The story in the first Gears is simple but effective. This isn't a deep philosophical drama, it's a war action film about survival. But the characters are charismatic, the dialogue is lively, and you really worry about your squad mates. If you've never played Gears of War, then definitely correct this oversight. Yes, the game is almost 20 years old, but it can still give many modern shooters a run for their money. And if you like it, a whole series of excellent games awaits you ahead. Mafia 2! Here we've reached one of my most favorite games of all time. Mafia 2 isn't just a game, it's an emotion. It's a story I've played through not once or twice, and each time it hooked me anew. Interesting fact, when the game came out in 2010, fans of the first Mafia didn't accept it, called it trash, cursed it for simplification, for removing a bunch of features from the original. But you know what? I and many others didn't care, because Mafia 2 isn't a copy of the first part, it's its own unique story that stands separately. Vito Scaletta returns from the war home to the fictional city of Empire Bay, prototype of New York in the 40s-50s. He hopes to start a new life, but quickly realizes you can't escape poverty through legal means. His best friend Joe Barbaro drags him into the criminal world and begins a long path from simple errand boy to full-fledged mafioso. The story in Mafia 2 is its main strength. This isn't just a set of missions, it's a complete narrative with ups and downs, with moments of triumph and tragedy. You see how Vito changes throughout the game, how his relationship with Joe strengthens, how he gains the trust of mafia bosses. Joe Barbaro is generally a genius character, charismatic, fun, but at the same time dangerous. He'll always cover Vito's back, always find a way out of a difficult situation. The chemistry between the two main characters is what makes the game truly special. Without Joe, Mafia 2 wouldn't be so cult. The city of Empire Bay is a separate character in the game. It's alive, atmospheric, detailed. You really feel the spirit of the 40s, 50s. Old cars, vintage clothing, radio with hits of that era. By the way, the soundtrack in the game is simply magnificent. Many fell in love with music of the 40s, 50s precisely thanks to Mafia 2. Dean Martin, Buddy Holly, Little Richard, these songs are forever associated with the game. The gameplay here is simple. You complete missions, drive around the city, shoot, sometimes hide from police. Nothing revolutionary, but everything's done quality. Shootouts are dynamic, driving is pleasant, although cars are heavy by modern standards. Stealth sections don't irritate, but the main thing is the ending. Without spoilers, I'll only say it hits hard, very hard. This isn't a happy ending. This is real life where not everything always ends well. I sincerely envy those who aren't yet familiar with Vito and Joe's story, because experiencing these emotions for the first time is priceless. I'd give a lot to play through Mafia 2 again like the first time. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Every Assassin's Creed fan has their favorite game in the series. Someone worships the second part with Ezio. Someone is crazy about Brotherhood. Someone considers the third part the best. I don't have one favorite. I adore several games in the series, and I see no point in choosing between them. But today, let's talk about the fourth part, Black Flag, because it deserves separate attention. Edward Kenway isn't a typical assassin. He's not a saint who saves the world for high ideals. He's a pirate, and his goal is simple: money, glory, freedom, rum, and beautiful girls. This is a character who's closer to an ordinary person than all previous protagonists in the series, and this wins you over. Black Flag is saturated with pirate romance from beginning to end. This isn't just a game about assassins with pirate themes, it's a full pirate simulator where the conflict of assassins and Templars takes a back seat. The main thing here is the sea, ships, battles, and adventures. Naval battles in Black Flag are a separate art form altogether. You control your ship, the Jackdaw, recruit crew, upgrade weapons and cannons, explore the Caribbean Sea. Battles with other ships are incredibly spectacular. Cannonballs fly, masts break, decks burn. And when you turn on the soundtrack from Pirates of the Caribbean and go on the attack against an enemy galleon, it's pure pleasure. The open world in Black Flag is huge. Dozens of islands to explore, sunken ships with treasures, forts to capture, fleets to destroy. You can spend hours just sailing the sea, hunting whales and sharks, although this is morally questionable, searching for chests with loot, attacking merchant ships. On land, the gameplay is classic for Assassin's Creed. Parkour on roofs, stealth kills, sword fights, but here it feels secondary. The main feature of the game is precisely the naval part. The characters in Black Flag are memorable. Edward is charismatic and charming. His pirate friends, Edward Teach, Blackbeard, Charles Vane, Benjamin Hornigold, are real historical figures, and the games show them authentically. The romantic line with Mary Read adds emotionality to the plot. The graphics in the game still look decent. The Caribbean Sea is beautiful. Islands are diverse. Sunsets and sunrises are mesmerizing. Even after 11 years, the game doesn't look outdated. And yes, the game's ending is emotional. I won't spoil, but I'll say that many had tears in their eyes. This isn't a typical finale for Assassin's Creed. Here, there's more sadness and nostalgia than triumph. If you want a simple story without pathos about saving the world, if you love pirate themes, if you want to experience the feeling of freedom at sea, Black Flag was created for you. It's one of the best games in the series, and definitely one of the most atmospheric. Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2 is a game for slasher lovers. If you adore Devil May Cry, God of War, Bayonetta, and similar games, then Lords of Shadow 2 will definitely click for you. And yes, it's best to play it with a gamepad. The game itself will hint at this when you launch it. The plot here revolves around Dracula himself. After the events of the first part, he spent centuries in hibernation until he was awakened in the modern world. His main goal is not only to stop Satan, who wants to destroy the world, but also to rid himself of the curse of immortality. Sounds paradoxical. Dracula wants to die. But the game explains why, and this becomes one of the main storylines. The gameplay here is classic slasher. You whirl through locations, crush enemies with combo attacks, use various weapons and magic. The combat is excellently staged. Every hit feels real. Combos look spectacular. Even now, after 10 years, it doesn't look outdated. The atmosphere in the game is gothic, grim, sometimes even eerie. Castles, catacombs, dark streets of a modern city soaked with demonic energy. Visually, the game is sustained in dark tones, which creates the right mood. Enemies are diverse, from ordinary demons to powerful bosses, each requiring their own approach. Boss battles are epic and memorable. What's sad? Such slashers are almost not made now. The genre died or moved into a niche. And in its time, there were many of them, and each studio tried to make something of their own. Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2 is a worthy representative of the genre, and if you miss such games, definitely pay attention to it. Far Cry 4. Many criticize Far Cry 4 for being the same third game, only bigger. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. The game took everything best from Far Cry 3, added new content, improved mechanics, and got an excellent product. The only thing where the fourth part yields to the third is the main villain. Pagan Min is a charismatic dictator, but he lacks screen time. In the Far Cry series, the villain has always been one of the main features. Vas Montenegro from the third part was an ideal psychopath you wanted to kill. Pagan, though, you understand him. He's not purely evil. He has motives, has reasons for his actions. The plot is built around the conflict between dictator Pagan Min and the rebel group Golden Path. The main character, Ajay Gale, comes to the fictional country of Kyrat to scatter his mother's ashes, but quickly gets drawn into a civil war. Interestingly, the game shows neither side is good. The rebels aren't saints, the dictator isn't absolute evil. The world in Far Cry 4 is gray, and you have to choose between two evils. The open world is huge. Mountains, forests, villages, temples, fortresses, all this can be explored for hours. You capture outposts, liberate territories, complete side quests. There's enough content here for 50+ hours if you complete the game 100%. The gameplay remained true to the series: shooting, stealth, crazy stunts. You can ride up to an outpost on an elephant and create chaos. You can quietly shoot everyone with a bow. You can release wild animals on enemies. Freedom of action is impressive. The graphics at release were excellent, and even now the game looks quite decent. Himalayan mountain landscapes are beautiful. Sunsets are captivating. Far Cry 4 is an excellent sequel that didn't try to reinvent the wheel, but simply took a proven formula and improved it, and there's nothing wrong with that. BioShock 2, like Far Cry 4, lives in the shadow of the previous game's success. Everyone worships the first BioShock or Infinite, and the second part is somehow bypassed. And this is unfair, because BioShock 2 is an excellent game that deserves attention. Events take place several years after the finale of the first part. You play as a Big Daddy, one of those very protectors of little sisters you killed in the first game. The main goal is to save your daughter Eleanor from Sophia Lamb, the new ruler of the underwater city Rapture. The story here is more personal than in the first part. This isn't a global conspiracy or philosophical reflections on objectivism. This is a story of father and daughter, a story of love and sacrifice. And from this, it doesn't become worse. On the contrary, emotionally, it hits harder. The gameplay is improved compared to the first part. You can simultaneously use plasmids and weapons, which makes battles more dynamic. New enemies appeared, new types of weapons, new plasmids. The mechanics of interaction with little sisters changed. Now you protect them while they collect Adam. But the most important thing in BioShock 2, as in the first part, is the environment. The underwater city of Rapture is still stunningly detailed. Each location tells its own story through environment and audio recordings. Don't rush to complete the game. Explore every corner, listen to every recording, read through the notes. Only this way will you understand the full picture of what happened in this city. The atmosphere is grim, oppressive. Rapture is slowly collapsing. Water seeps through cracks. Madness captures the remaining residents. This isn't horror, but tension is constantly present. Visually, the game is still impressive. Art Deco style, neon signs, flooded corridors, all this creates a unique atmosphere you can't confuse with anything. If you played the first BioShock and are thinking whether to get the second, definitely get it. This isn't a copy, it's an independent game with its own story that complements the Rapture universe. Don't skip it just because everyone talks about the first part. BioShock 2 deserves your time and attention.